Welcome. It is Wednesday and time for Q&A. And today's question is something that is very relevant for me as well. The question is, I feel like everything I do gets me nowhere. What am I doing wrong? It's very common that you ask yourself this question on the journey of healing fatigue. Especially if you've tried all kinds of different things, different diets, different therapies, different meditations, all kinds of stuff. And first, I just want to acknowledge that is very common. We all do that, regardless of what healing journey we're on. Because we live in a society that is so focused on what we achieve, not especially where we're at. It's so focused on where we're going, on what the goal is, what the end goal is, instead of being where we're at. And we also live in a society where we're so used to getting what we want just by clicking on the phone, by Googling it on the phone or clicking on the computer. And you have everything within seconds. So that's what we're priming our brain to do, to get results like this. And when we don't do that on our healing journey, of course, it's going to feel frustrating at some point. It's going to feel that we're doing all this work and we're not getting anywhere. And so I said that this was relevant for my journey. Well, I'm sick right now. And yesterday was one of those days where I just felt like I just wanted to give up. I felt like, what am I doing wrong? Am I not eating the food that I need? Am I not doing the exercises that I need? You know, all those questions that pop up in this kind of situation. And I want to invite you to just be with that. That it's okay to feel that. It's okay to have those questions. It's okay to feel sometimes the despair. Because if we try to get rid of it, if we try to push it away, then it's not going to go away. It's going to push back with even more force. So we need to feel our feelings. We need to find somewhere in ourselves to accept what's going on, what we're experiencing, so that we then can move on. I'm looking over here because I have some notes over here. And another thing I want to bring up is something that I've talked about before, is that healing fatigue is not a quick fix. Healing fatigue is a long journey, especially if you want to do it so that you have long-lasting effects and you don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. It takes time. And sometimes on that journey, we find ourselves making progress, and that feels great. And then we need time to integrate that. And that's sometimes where we get stuck, where we feel that nothing is happening, I'm not getting anywhere, I'm not seeing any progress. What's going on? Well, oftentimes it's when we're in the winter phase of our healing journey. The healing journey goes in cycles. And you can look at it like the cycles of the weather, right? You have the winter phase where we rest and we integrate what we've been through. We have the spring when the inspiration is rising, where we feel the energy of like, okay, I'm getting ready to do change again. And then we have the summer where we have that momentum to create change in our lives. And then comes the fall when we slow down so that we can start integrating everything again in the winter phase. And we go through these cycles again and again and again. And you could look at it as the cycle that we go through every day. We sleep at night, we start waking up, we're awake throughout the day when we do things, or most of the day, and then we fall asleep in the evening, and then we sleep during the night, hopefully. The sleep question, maybe that's a question for another Q&A. But that's normal to us humans. We are part of nature. We are nature. We cannot separate ourselves from who we are, from being nature. And in the society that we live in, we sometimes forget that, because we live in, especially if we live in cities where we're so detached from these cycles in nature. We live where there are paved streets, houses, very little nature, very little trees, very little plants, where this reminds us of that this is a part of life, and that's where we come from. So what do we do when we feel like we're stuck in this, when we feel like, oh my God, nothing's happening. I've done all this work and I'm not getting anywhere. I'm still not where I want to be. I'm still not in the place where I have this idea of where I want to be, where I have all the energy I want, where I am doing all the things that I'm imagining that I'm going to do once I have all this energy. So I invite you to, I'm going to share with you a shamanic practice that I call looking at things from the eagle perspective. Now, the eagle is a bird that it flies very high, and it flies up there looking at things below, and it has this sight that is absolutely incredible because it can see a little mouse moving on the ground from kilometers up. And when we do this, when we imagine that we are an eagle looking at our life from above, looking at the past, the present, and the future. When we do that, it's so much easier to see, okay, so where was I a year ago? Where was I 5 years ago? Where was I 10 years ago? It's so much easier to see that if you have been doing healing work, that things have actually changed. So that is my gift to you today, to imagine yourself as the eagle in your life, to imagine that you're looking from above down towards your whole life, and maybe even remembering what was it like a year ago, what was it like 3 years ago, what was it like 5 years ago. So I'd love to hear what you discover when you look at your life from the eagle's perspective. What changes you see that you have actually made. Because this is also a very empowering part of the healing journey, to acknowledge the change that you've done. So let me know in the comments below, or you can send me a DM. What is the biggest change that you notice that you've done on your healing journey? And I want to finish off by also bringing to your attention that today is the spring equinox. And this is also a very good time to reflect, because it is the time of the year, the first one in the year, where the night and the day is equal length. And we're sort of moving into from the part of the year where at least here in the northern hemisphere, where the nights have been longer than the days, where there has been more darkness, and we're moving into the phase where there's more light. The days are getting longer. They're from today going to be longer than the nights. And when we sit with that and think about, okay, so how can I allow that to be a part of my life? How can I bring more light into my life? What seeds am I choosing to sow in my life? So I'm going to leave you with that question and wishing you a lovely spring equinox if you're in the northern hemisphere, and a fall equinox if you're in the southern hemisphere. Sending you lots of love.